each burning more fuel in an hour than his entire column possessed. His Tiger II sat immobilized, its 860-litre tank drained after consuming its last drops just 3 kilometers from the greatest prize of Operation Watch on the Rhine, a massive American fuel depot containing 2.2 million gallons of gasoline near Spa. In his post-war testimony at the Dachau trials, Peiper would recall this moment with bitter clarity. "We could smell the gasoline. The greatest fuel depot in Belgium lay just beyond our reach. My vehicles sat like monuments to our failure, perfect machines rendered useless by empty tanks. The Americans had so much fuel they would later burn over 1 million gallons rather than let us capture it." Through his binoculars, Peiper could see the depot's outer perimeter. Belgian civilians and American engineers were already preparing to destroy what couldn't be evacuated. By his calculation, visible alone was enough fuel to operate his entire Kampfgruppe for 6 months. The Americans had accumulated more fuel at this single location than the entire 6th SS Panzer Army possessed for the Ardennes offensive. The mathematics of defeat were being written in litres and gallons, in the vast gulf between American abundance and German scarcity. The crisis that would strangle the Wehrmacht in the Ardennes had roots in Germany's fundamental resource poverty. Wehrmacht records in the Bundesarchiv Militärarchiv reveal the stark mathematics. In 1941, Germany produced 5.7 million tons of oil annually, including synthetic production from coal. The United States alone produced 180 million tons, with access to another 300 million tons from Allied sources, a 100-to-1 disadvantage that no amount of tactical brilliance could overcome. For the Ardennes offensive, Hitler had promised Field Marshal von Rundstedt 5 million gallons of fuel. The Wehrmacht managed to stockpile approximately that amount, but transportation bottlenecks meant only 3.17 million gallons were actually available when the offensive began on December 16th. Even this allocation, larger than initially planned, provided fuel for only 6 days of operations. German General Staff calculations showed they had enough fuel for 1/3 to 1/2 the distance to Antwerp under combat conditions. Major Joachim Dietrich, quartermaster of the 2nd Panzer Division, recorded the impossible arithmetic in his war diary. Fuel per vehicle, enough for 90 to 100 miles. Distance to Antwerp, 125 miles minimum. Fuel required for combat maneuvering, double the standard rate. We are ordered to capture American supplies to continue. The entire operation depends on stealing enemy fuel. While German tanks would soon sit immobilized awaiting fuel, the Americans had created the most extraordinary logistics operation in military history. The Red Ball Express, operating from August 25th to November 16th, 1944, delivered 12,500 tons of supplies daily at its peak, along a dedicated highway system stretching from the Normandy beaches to the front lines. First Lieutenant Charles Waco, of the 3632 Quartermaster Truck Company, an African-American unit forming the backbone of the operation, documented the scale. "My company alone moved 50,000 gallons in a good day. We burned 300,000 gallons daily just operating our trucks, more fuel consumed delivering fuel than the Germans had for combat. Yesterday, a driver spilled 50 gallons missing a tank opening." The lieutenant said, "That's why we bring extra. Nobody counted gallons. We counted tanker ships." The statistics from Transportation Corps records reveal the scope. 6,000 trucks operated continuously on exclusive military highways. In 82 days, they delivered 412,193 tons of supplies to the advancing armies. While fuel wasn't the only cargo, petroleum products constituted the largest single category, enabling Patton's Third Army and Hodges' First Army to consume their combined 800,000 gallons daily during the pursuit across France. Unknown to the Germans plotting their December offensive, the Allies had accomplished an engineering miracle that made fuel scarcity obsolete. Operation PLUTO, pipeline under the ocean, had laid flexible pipelines across the English Channel. After initial difficulties, by December 1944, the system was approaching its capacity of 1 million gallons daily. Captain Bernard Williams, a petroleum engineer from Standard Oil supervising Pluto operations, recorded, "We're pumping 3,000 tons of fuel daily through underwater pipes. The Germans are calculating fuel by the barrel while we measure by the tanker load. This single pipeline delivers more daily than Germany's entire synthetic fuel industry produces." The pipeline network extended across liberated Europe. By December 1944, Americans had constructed 3,000 miles of fuel pipelines across France and Belgium, creating a petroleum circulatory system that delivered fuel like blood through arteries. Every major depot connected to this network could receive unlimited supplies, regardless of weather or enemy action. The fuel depot complex between Spa and Stavelot represented American logistics doctrine at its most abundant. Depot number 2 near Spa contained 2,226,000 gallons. Depot number 3 at Stavelot held 1,115,000 gallons. Together, over 3.3 million gallons, more than the Germans had allocated for their entire offensive, sat in this one sector. Staff Sergeant James Morrison of the 25th Quartermaster Battalion described the Stavelot depot. Mountains of jerry cans stacked like pyramids, underground storage tanks, fuel trucks parked in rows. Yesterday HQ sent another 200,000 gallons. I asked where we'd put it. Captain said stack it higher. We had so much that when Peiper got close, we just burned what we couldn't move. 124,000 gallons up in smoke like it was nothing. The depot's records reveal American fuel wealth. Daily receipts averaged 200,000 gallons, daily distribution 180,000 gallons, creating ever-growing reserves. By December 17th, when Peiper's spearhead approached, these depots contained enough fuel to operate every vehicle in the German Wehrmacht for 4 months. German tanks advancing through the Ardennes represented superb engineering shackled by catastrophic consumption rates. The Tiger II's Maybach engine delivered 700 horsepower but drank 2.75 gallons per mile on roads, 5.5 gallons per mile cross-country. A Tiger II's 860-litre capacity meant a combat radius of perhaps 60 miles before requiring refuelling. Feldwebel Hans Zimmermann, driver of Tiger II No. 332, documented the crisis. Started December 16th with full tanks. By noon, down to half after 35 kilometres. American fighter bombers forced us off-road. Cross-country movement doubled consumption. By nightfall, nearly empty. Ordered to continue advancing. With what fuel? Panther tanks, theoretically more efficient, achieved barely 0.5 miles per gallon in combat. A Panther battalion's 60 tanks required 15,000 gallons to move 30 miles under fire. Kampfgruppe Peiper's entire fuel allocation, 180,000 gallons, meant enough for one major engagement, nothing for exploitation. Peiper himself testified at Dachau. "We were told to drive until the tanks stopped, then capture American fuel. This wasn't a military operation, but organized banditry. We weren't soldiers, but fuel thieves, and we failed even at that." The most significant German fuel capture occurred at Bullingen on December 17th. A Kampfgruppe Peiper detachment discovered an American fuel dump containing 50,000 gallons, guarded by only a handful of rear-echelon troops who fled when German tanks appeared. Unterscharführer Georg Fleps recalled, "We couldn't believe it. Jerry cans stacked everywhere, fuel trucks with keys in the ignition. We filled every tank, every container. It was like finding water in the desert. But even this windfall, 50,000 gallons, would barely get us to the Meuse." The captured fuel revealed another dimension of American superiority. Every can bore octane ratings, 80, 85, 100 octane. Americans had different grades.